When it comes to finding high school seniors to highlight, we rely on the experts, the teachers, administrators, counselors, and coaches who know them best. But it's pretty rare to have multiple coaches, teachers, and counselors from different departments and unrelated areas of the school suggest the same person. A student who's made such a positive impact in so many seemingly diverse areas that their name is impossible to ignore. In this episode of Senior Spotlight, we travel to Roosevelt High School, where one senior's unique interests and his unwavering dedication to each has left a lasting mark on the adults who work with him and the students alongside him. Even if you don't immediately recognize his face, you might recognize his voice.
Welcome back to Howard Wood Field in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and tonight's second game. My name is Eli Kadoun. I am joined tonight by Brent Bowen and Riley Tufts. In the first game of the evening, Sioux Falls, Washington defeated Rapid City Central 40-8.
That's because for at least the last 3 years, Roosevelt senior Eli Kadoun has been one of the most consistent voices of sports announcing in the Sioux Falls School District. From volleyball and basketball games, but most notably football games from Howard Wood Field, he's part of Roosevelt Broadcasting, and as such, he's logged a lot of hours behind the microphone.
He's still going. He's still on the far sideline. He's still in. He's down at the 5. I think I started doing that maybe my 8th grade year. I think my sister got me into it my 8th grade year with Mr. Powers, and it's been really fun, especially with like the people I've gotten to work with. Like sophomore year was my first year. I actually officially broadcast, and it was with Brent Bartles, and it was any time you announce with Brent, it was always fun. And it's just Mr. Powers and all the other people you've gotten to work with. It's just been a super fun and interesting experience, and with the new scoreboards, that's been something we got to do. That's been super fun, difficult, annoying, but also fun. So, I mean, it's been really cool actually, just kind of learning, okay, this is what an announcing booth is like, this is what it's like to broadcast, and I think it's been some of the most fun I've had.
The scoreboards were installed this summer at each high school, and each high school has been responsible for creating graphics, video clips, sponsor information, and much more to accompany every home activity from gymnastics and basketball to cheer and dance competitions and volleyball games, and even for assemblies and other school day events. It's something Eli immediately helped dive into, perhaps not surprising since every game he announced at Howard Wood Field also required hours of prep work, identifying key players and learning how to pronounce their names, gathering stats and knowing when to use them, organizing required public service announcements, and having school records handy at the drop of a hat. It's meant being a voice for live streams from both Roosevelt and Howard Wood Field, and video productions for K-Learn TV for most of his high school career, all in addition to taking a full load of classes, which have included advanced placement calculus, for example, and anatomy.
I've always been kind of the weird kid that I liked just kind of figuring things out. Like my grandparents for Christmas one year bought me like a little microscope out of a science magazine, and I would like find crickets and I'd like look at them under a microscope. So I was always kind of weird like that. I just kind of like to know how things work, and I've always thought anatomy was fun with like dissections, and so that one, it's kind of funny because she always talks about like moving on to the next level, and I was like, I just do it. I'm just doing it for fun. I was like, it's just kind of an interesting class, so I'm just doing it because it sounded interesting. With Wood Tech, that's another one that I took Woods 1 my freshman year, and woodworking is just kind of fun for me. It's relaxing. It doesn't really take that much, and especially when you can just Google stuff, you can be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I want to make that.
He's been in multiple of my classes. Right now, he's taken an advanced woods class, which he's the perfect kid for that kind of class because he's always trying to strive more, and his level of quality, his level of expectations is usually quite high. Right now what they're doing is, this is an advanced class, and part of the class's requirements is they must design their own project, some of extensiveness. Okay, prior to that, they're given several smaller projects to do to reacquaint them with the tools that they will need and to open them up to some other tools. For example, they took a stick. I had just some sticks we went and got, and they made them they put them on the lay and they made them into something, made them into a paper towel dispenser or what it might have been. So they got used to multiple tools there. So his next goal now, and there's this game called Shut the Box, where they were given scrap lumber. And from that scrap lumber, they were given the variety of, okay, this is the end thing, you figure out how you're gonna get it there. And so whether it's taking a torch and using the burn effect on it, taking the laser, and lasering in some images to it, he does an extensive project on both ends.
But if you do recognize his face, it's likely from here, the wrestling mat, where Eli has earned a place in the state competition every year since 8th grade, including winning the championship as a junior last year.
Last year, state champion, you know, that was a big goal. Menace from Madison was a really good wrestler, and we had a really tight match in the finals. That was just a big moment. He's always really proud of his success at Rapid City, because we see some schools from different states as well. Some people that you don't always get to see, and a lot of times number 1, number 2 ranked kids from other states. So it really gives you an idea of where you are, not just in South Dakota, but in the Midwest as well. So right now, he's done really well. He won the Rapid tournament again. He beat a returning state champion from Winter a few weeks ago in Aberdeen, and right now we're 3-2 with Klinkhammer. So he's got 2 losses. I think he's 35-2 right now.
So far for me, it's been going really well. I think I'm like 35-2 right now, and I'm right now. I think I'm ranked number 2, but the top guy and I have traded matches. But so far, it's been a really fun and enjoyable year. Not really cutting as much weight, so I kind of enjoyed it a little more, and it's been a really fun year so far. Team-wise, we've actually been doing really well, I think. We're usually not a very good dual team, but we've won a few duels this year, which has been really cool. So as a team, we're young. We have quite a few up-and-coming kids, which is good. So it's been a really good year for both me and the team, I think. So.
And if you know Eli, you know that being a state champion falls directly in line with his work ethic, day in and day out.
He's a great person. He's, I think, maybe if you'd say mature beyond his years. And, you know, I remember coaching him. You know, one of my coaches made the comment that, you know, he's really drank the Kool-Aid. He bought into what we were trying to do. You know, we used to always have shirts with the phrase on them. You know, one was your output is determined by your input, you know, and another one was excuse maker, settle, problem solver, succeed. And he really buys into that, and he really commits to that. And he's got a trust factor in those people trying to help him exceed. And he's the same way in the classroom. He wants to exceed, he wants to do his best, a little bit of the perfectionism in there, you know, that he's taking the high road. You know, we always talk about do your best, not your good enough, because sooner or later, good enough's not good enough. And he's really committed to that. There's a maturity level there, there's a discipline level there, there's a level of gratification, of success, of achievement, and taking on the challenge to achieve that he has. It's somewhat of a rarity. It's a quality you see in those that you feel really good about, that will be successful in whatever venue they try to attack or go after. You know, and really whether it's a cultural thing, a media thing, or whatever it might be, you know, to try to get that, to try to foster that in kids is really, I don't know if it's a teachable thing. You know, I think it's an innate thing that you have or you don't have, or that you buy into and take on, and then it's kind of like once you get it, you want to continue to pursue it. So it's his high in life, or his drug of choice, if you want to call it that, where the self-challenge, you know, the intensity of that is really what drives that kid, you know. And a Woods 2 is an advanced class I have in right now, which they take the learning that they did in Woods 1, the application of understanding the equipment used, and then they use their creativity and take it to a higher level, try to make something or do something better, or take an existing thing and improve it. And that's him. That's in whatever he does, whether it is in the athletic realm, I think, or whether it's in the classroom, is he wants to improve whatever he's done or is going on, and his best is only what's good enough.
Very hard-nosed, very, very aggressive, very forward, kind of in-your-face style, but really analytical too at the same time. Really has been a student of the sport for a long time. When he was younger, it was hard to get him to make the little changes that he really needed to get to the level that he wanted to be at. And you knew that he wanted to be the best, But it took until his junior year last year for him to really start turning that corner where he started to see some of the little adjustments that started to make a big difference. And then once he started to notice that difference and he started to have more success, and then the confidence that comes with that, then the coachability came as well. The most important thing is the longer you coach, you see that there's the older guys are the ones that really can be helpful in creating the culture that you want in your wrestling room. And Eli does a great job of doing that. He's not a super vocal leader. He's not going to tell you how to do things, but he's really going to show you what it means to wrestle for Roosevelt, the type of person that you are both on and off the mat. And I like that he's more of a lead by example than vocal, because I think it really says a testament about who he is, not just what he says, but what he does. A work ethic, you should see him during the warm-up. He's lapping everybody several times, and just his presence, shows that it just makes everybody around work that much harder and take the practice room that much more seriously.
It's not just here. Those classes we were talking about earlier, he's acing them. All of them. He has a 4.0 grade point average heading into the final weeks of his high school career.
He's a great student. You see him, he's here every morning. He's either in a classroom with a teacher, he's reading his books. As far as I know, he's number 2 or number 1 in his class last year. Super focused student. To see somebody that can succeed in both worlds, it's a rare thing to see. At least a state champion and number 1 or 2 in the class. It's just not that kind of package that you see that often, and that's the perfect model that you'd like to have, but it's pretty rare.
Even more rare is Eli's heart of giving back. His first period class of the day isn't a class in the strictest sense. He's a peer tutor for this Algebra 1 class.
First period I have peer tutoring with Jake Anderson, who's one of our coaches. I peer tutor for his Algebra 1 class. I did peer tutoring last semester, and it was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I had Miss Sakura, so I wanted to try it again this semester, and I really enjoyed it again this semester. It's been really fun, especially with having Jake as the teacher. It's pretty relaxed, and it's a good way to start out the day.
When you add it all up, sports broadcaster, AP calculus student, anatomy student, woodworker, championship wrestler, straight A's, peer tutor, it makes for a diverse tableau of a person who makes it a point to excel at every aspect of his life.
He takes on challenges, and he takes the high road, not the easy road. And again, he's doing his best and not his good enough. He's after attacking life and getting what he can out of life and prospering, and understanding his prospering or his results are on him. He's got some great shoulders, both psychologically and physically. And those shoulders are going to carry him fine. And if you can get, he's a model. If you can get a young man like that to do that, you feel good. You really do. You have a renowned hope in the youth. That we want them to go forward, and we want them to make the world a better place. That's a kid that's going to do that. He's got his faith. He's got things all in line working for him. And if he ever feels uneasy about any aspect about that, he addresses it. He gives it the attention. We have so much, again, that look for the quick release, the easy therapy, or however you want to say, the escape you want to get to, and the avoidance of solving the problem, or making the excuse for the problem and not solving the problem. And that's not what that kid's about. That is a quality young man that I have every confidence will be extremely successful in whatever endeavor he chooses to take on next. In every row, it's the self-discipline, the self-control. It's the patience for payday. Again, it's not the immediate return for what I'm going to get, or what it's not asking, and we all ask relevancy and what do I get out of this. But his strength in the sense that he sets the example that you have got to work towards something, and you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. There really are no limits as long as you're willing to invest the time, energy, and you have the patience with yourself in those things. Again, the excuse maker settle, problem solver succeed. He'll address the problem and solve it rather than settle on something. And that's the legacy I think he sees behind. Any student or any younger classman, whether it's somebody up in the wrestling room watching him, or somebody else, it's, all those challenges you meet, and it's solving those challenges. you know, it is just so easy to give up. You know, it's easy to be a quitter, and quitting can be a habit, you know, but you must make the other aspect, the success, the diligence, all those habits as well, that those work ethics, you know, those got to become habits. Those got to become intrinsic habits, and you must get intrinsic gratification from them, because just getting simple monetary gratification isn't enough when you come to the higher level. When you come to a higher level of stuff of success in life, success in life is not going to be determined by your monetary. It's going to be determined by your success intrinsically, what you feel self-gratified in accomplishing and stuff. And then, you know, it's the old aspect. One of the things I always tell the kids is, here's the deal, most of us, and not just younger people, are poor investors. If we find a $20 bill, we can't spend it fast enough. If we have to sacrifice something, effort, time, energy, whatever it might have been, doing a task that was not very desirable, maybe the harder the task, the greater the value of that $20 becomes, because we're vested in it. And that's a good comparison for him. He's vested in it. He's put the time and the energy into his sports, into his academics, that he's vested into those things. And that's a great example that he leaves behind for the younger generations. You know, invest your time, be patient for the outcome, don't look for the immediate gratification, you know, and it's an age-old thing, you know, hard work is gonna get you there.
Just a general sense of curiosity is great, to not just pigeonhole yourself into one activity or one area. There's lots of different things to experience, and that not just at Roosevelt, but all over Sioux Falls, the schools are providing those opportunities, and I think that it's great that he's taking advantage of it, and just says a lot that he's just a really well-rounded individual. He's not just an academic guy, not just an athlete, but he can be a little bit of everything. I think is really impressive.
Eli will be the first one to attribute his considerable success to the people in his life.
All my teachers that I've had have been great. I mean, like last year, it was really nice. This was like a small gesture, but Mr. Whiting, my mush teacher, I remember I came back after regions, after losing to a guy that I'd beaten and who I wrestled in the state finals my junior year. I came back and he was like, hey, I saw you qualified. He's like, that's all that matters. And then I was like, yeah, I said, but, and then I had to tell him I was gonna be gone. He's like, hey, don't worry about it. I said, let's just go win a championship. So it was like stuff like that. And I have Mr. Williamson, who's my sophomore world history teacher, who ever since I won state has always greeted me with like, what's up, champ? Like, see, I mean, I get those people that are just kind of constantly just the self-support. And then even just teachers like my 5th grade teacher was a super good teacher. She was, Miss Crocky was her name. She was a great teacher, just super well-rounded. And she, I don't know, made learning fun. And I mean, all my teachers have done that. Pretty much all my teachers have had a huge impact of me wanting to continue to learn and continue to like what I do, and not settle with like I know this, but continue to dive deeper into things and get understanding it more.
And to his experiences in a sport that not everyone fully appreciates.
It's kind of different. A lot of people don't understand like the mental battles you have to fight with yourself. Like you can't blame stuff on other people. Everything's on you. So losses, you don't get to share them with the team. You share them with yourself. So it's a lot more individualized, and it's a lot harder mentally than people I think give it credit for. And it is kind of interesting with the whole, there's duels and there's team stuff involved with it. So it is kind of cool that you do have a team behind you, but it's also really cool because if you win, you know you won because you did that. It's not like, oh, I won because this person caught the ball and we got a first down. It's, I did that, I put in the work, I did all of this.
Those that don't understand the sport don't understand what's going on. You know, it is quite an individual thing to do, and it's quite an individual thing to be putting yourself out there in the spotlight with somebody who wants it as bad as you do, possibly, you know, and taking on those pressures. And that can be quite a lot of pressure, and a lot of people really can't handle it. And he's an anomaly to that. You know, he's a kid or a person that, whether you want to call him mature beyond his years or confident beyond, you know, he's gotten to that next level now. You know, he knows he's in control of his destiny, and he knows his output is going to be determined by his input. What he's going to put into this is going to matter. And that's a life skill that we have missing in a lot of people at all different ages.
It all adds up to being a leader inside and outside of the wrestling room, the classroom, the broadcasting booth, who's used every experience to move forward.
I think that with as focused as he is, he's easily one of, if not the most focused student athlete that's come through our program in my 9 years here. And literally anything that he wanted to, well, he doesn't half commit to things. So whatever he chooses to do in his future, I believe he's going to attend Augustana. And whatever he decides to do there, I think that he'll do great.
I'm planning on going to Augustana, and I'm not sure what I'm going into yet. I'm going undecided. I'm thinking something in math, but haven't really decided that yet. But with all the experiences, I don't know. I'm not gonna just use them as, oh, that's something I did. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. Like Mr. Powers has said, oh, if I need help, I can use you. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. So I more or less wanted to do it as a way to broaden my horizon. Like, oh, be a well-rounded person, not monotone and not very dynamic. I want to be able to branch out and be like, oh yeah, I've done this and this, and not say I've been great at every single one of them, but say I've been able to do them. So just kind of have the experience and a little bit of knowledge on it.
While moving on will certainly mean a loss for Roosevelt,
Big shoes to fill. I mean, we're graduating several seniors right now, and it'll be a few years probably before Roosevelt is, bouncing around the top 10 again. So when he leaves, it'll certainly leave a pretty big void that'll have to be filled by somebody.
he leaves a clear example behind for underclassmen.
I hope that they learn more or less that if you really do work hard and you really try and you really want to do something, that you really can. A lot of people get discouraged with like, oh, it's an AP class, it's really hard, or it's wrestling and I don't want to do both things at the same time, or like, and I just want to prove like, hey, you can be successful in anything you want to. Really, if you really want to be successful and really want to do what you want to do, you can do it if you try your hardest, because that's what's gotten me to my point, is you just outwork people. I mean, that's how I've gotten to the point where I am in both wrestling and school. It's like you outwork people, you work as hard as you can, and you show up every day, and it's even like pushing through the tough days where it's like, okay, it wasn't my best day, but I still went through it. So it's like more or less the motivation to just keep going and not give up. Like I've seen a few kids where it's just like they don't want to keep going, and it's like you could do so much more, but they don't, because they don't want to keep trying. So that's my thing, is I want to pass on that you can get pretty much anywhere you want if you just try hard enough.
As Eli approaches 200 wins at the high school level, and the 2020 South Dakota State Wrestling Meet approaches, one part of his life draws to an end, while another just begins. But there's no question about his future, whatever it may hold.
You know, whether it's some type of engineering or what medical field he goes to do, he's gonna be fine. You know, whether he knows for sure which area he wants to go or what the path is, really is not the important thing here. You know, the mindset, the lessons learned, the pattern of life he's taken, and the success that pattern has given him in athletics and academics at this point is gonna set him up. So he's a kid that, you know, whether it's a college admissions person or even his parents, should feel very good about the character there and the path that character is taking that individual. You are very concerned a lot of times about a lot of kids at this next stage. And life is scary, and the challenges can be daunting, and sometimes the freedom of choice creates so much confusion that if your habits are not strong enough, that can be a problem. He is not that case. This kid's gonna attack whatever he attacks, and I really feel he's gonna be successful. You know, he's a kid you really wanna mold and model and get other kids to follow. You know, I would expect, you know, and I'm no longer involved with him wrestling wise, but I would expect in the room, he has gotta be somewhat of a coach's dream. You know, academically, athletically, this is what you do, and if you do this, if you buy this, if you drink that Kool-Aid and follow what we're trying to get you to do, you're going to be successful. And he's a model picture of that.
As a student athlete, there's certain things that have to be taught, you know, they're kids, they don't know until they know. And watching him grow up, he had really just bought into the program, listened to the coaches, comes from a great family, and over the years you just saw him mature into that great mold of a student athlete, Roosevelt wrestler that we like to see. And it's a huge testament to what his commitment, his ability to listen, his patience, his maturity. And so it's tough when they finally reach that. It's their senior year, and then you say goodbye, but you know that they're good to go and be successful elsewhere. But certainly he's what we're trying to create.
This kid's character is unmatched. He really is. He's the kid that's going to open the door for the old lady. He's the kid that's going to help the young kid that, you know, he's the kid that's probably going to stick up for the kid he's got an issue, you know. There's an unmatched character there in this kid that is really just a joy to see. I just have total faith, and I don't have any concerns about the outcome of this individual. You know, he's been aces. This kid's figured it out. He has figured life out. He'll be okay.